I don't think the Second Amendment would have any meaning if you didn't have both.
We're the armed attorneys. Today we're talking about why we, the armed attorneys, don't sue the government over gun laws. Before we get started, show your support for the Second Amendment by hitting the like button. And Richard, let's get started with kind of the big categories of what lawyers do to support the Second Amendment.
Yes. And so it's just like in the practice of medicine, how you have specialization with, a brain surgeon or a heart doctor or a foot doctor. We have that same experience in the law. And when we talk about the Second Amendment, there's two key components to both. There's the sword, what we call the offense, where you're suing the government, and then you have the shield, the defense, the protecting the individual rights when the Second Amendment, when the rubber hits the road. And we kind of find ourselves in that latter category. And, we try to stay in our lane. And so when we see, I love the comments. I see them all the time where, why aren't you so-called lawyers suing the government over this? Why won't you sue somebody and stop them? That's really not our focus, but we need both, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, absolutely. And the organizations that do a really, really good job at suing the government, we're looking at people like Gun Owners of America, like the Second Amendment Foundation,
Firearms Policy Coalition.
The Firearms Policy Coalition.
And the NRA.
Yeah. Begrudgingly, yes, absolutely. And so, these are, but bear in mind, look at those groups and look at us, right? These are gigantic groups with lots and lots of money and resources because it takes a lot of money and resources to sue the government, right? Plus, not only that, it's incredibly specialized work. It could not be more different from defending Joe Smith against his murder charge, basically, than you can get. I mean, it's like talking about a podiatrist and an oncologist, right?
And that's where, we find ourselves is, in the application of the Second Amendment, where the rubber meets the road, because at the end of the day, the Second Amendment is supposed to restrain the government from infringing on our rights to self-defense or, keep and bear arms. And where the rubber meets the road is when you have to actually use your firearm in defense. And what we see, people getting charged with murder, aggravated assault, discharging firearms, all these different crimes, that is an exercise under the Second Amendment that we find ourselves defending. And that's really, like I said, we try to stay in our lane.
Yeah, sure. And if you have lawyers who say they are really excellent at both, maybe there's some unicorns out there where it's true, but for the most part, you really got to focus in, and it's really hard to be good at both.
Yeah, but I think I would say the key takeaway is you need both. You need people going on the offense, because you need that push to keep the government back, but then you also need that shield. You need people in the trenches fighting and protecting individual rights. It's not as glorious or as glamorous as, some of those, you see those giant press statements, suing the government, but it's vitally important. But we hope you enjoyed this discussion. If you did, consider subscribing, hitting the like button, and help us fight the anti-2A algorithm by sharing this video.
And please comment below with anything but these so-called lawyers won't sue the government. Until next time, we're the armed attorneys.